Good morning. It is another big win for Republicans, this time in the state of Georgia. Karen Handel defeating Democrat Jon Ossoff in that special election that many viewed as a referendum on the White House and President Donald Trump. $60 million. I'm Bill Hemmer. Good morning, everybody. A lot to go through today. How you doing, Shannon?
I'm very good. It was a late night. It was an exciting one, though. I'm Shannon Bream. Democrats officially losing the most expensive House race in history. With all precincts reporting, Karen Handel beating Jon Ossoff 52 to 48%. The party also notching a victory in South Carolina, where Ralph Norman edged out Archie Parnell.
President Trump said this on Twitter last night. Well, the special elections are over, and those that want to make America great again are 5-0. All the fake news, all the money spent equals 0. Meanwhile, the Congresswoman-elect Karen Handel extending an olive branch to Democrats late last night.
To the Jon Ossoff supporters, know that my commitments, they extend to every one of you as well. We may have some different beliefs, but we are part of one community, the community of the 6th District.
Jonathan Sari on the story from the very beginning, live now in Atlanta. And what impact did all that money have, Jonathan?
Yeah, it certainly raised the profile of this race to the national level, and that's why many people around the country were viewing this as an early referendum on the Trump administration. Local airwaves here in Atlanta were saturated with political ads. Some of them, especially ads produced by outside groups, were very negative. And both campaigns say they even received anonymous threats.
In these United States of America, no one should ever feel their life threatened over their political beliefs and positions. And I say that, ladies and gentlemen, in regards to both sides of the political aisle.
We showed them that we can still build coalitions of people who may not see eye to eye on everything, but rather than demonizing each other, we find common ground to move forward. And that's the only way this country will move forward.
Now, Bill, because the special election fills the remaining term of Tom Price, the congressman who left his House seat to join the Trump administration, Karen Handel has little more than a year to prepare for a potential re-election bid in the 2018 midterms. Really has to start campaigning on day one. What's unclear is how serious of a challenge Democrats will plan to mount in light of yesterday's stinging defeat.
There's going to be a lot of analysis. What went wrong with the Democratic strategy, Jonathan?
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of Monday morning quarterbacking, but Jon Ossoff's early strategy began with a slogan of "Make Trump Furious." That rallied liberals around the country, liberal donors, especially those from out of state who pumped in millions of dollars to his campaign. That helped Ossoff get his message across the district when he made a pivot to the center, reaching out to moderate Republicans and independents with a platform of creating jobs and cutting government waste. But that platform didn't resonate enough with voters to get him elected.
Money doesn't buy a race. I mean, Democrats spent more than $30 million to try to flip the 6th District, and Jon Ossoff didn't even improve on Hillary Clinton's numbers, and she barely spent a dime in the district.
But Democrats knew they faced an uphill battle from the get-go. After all, Georgia's 6th congressional district has been in Republican hands for nearly 40 years. Bill?
Jonathan Sari leading our coverage the day after. Thank you, sir. Shannon?
Well, GOP on a bit of a winning streak in special House elections. You'll remember these. Ron Estes winning in Kansas. Greg Gianforte in Montana. Ralph Norman last night in South Carolina. And, of course, Karen Handel in Georgia as well.
Want to analyze more with Charlie Hurt now, Washington Times opinion editor, Fox News contributor. And Charlie, good morning to you there in Washington, D.C. Newt Gingrich writes this at .com. If the elite media's portrait of Donald Trump as an unpopular president was accurate, surely the Democrats could have won at least one seat. But no, Kansas, Montana, South Carolina, Georgia, not once were the Democrats able to turn a GOP seat blue, end quote. Why did she win?
I think, quite frankly, Bill, the main reason that she won is because so much money was spent there. And because so much money was spent there, it meant that that nobody in the entire Georgia 6th District had any doubts about the fact that there was a special election on. And what that meant was that more people turned out. Everybody turned out. And when you have everybody turn out in Georgia's 6th district, what you're going to wind up with is a Republican in Congress.
Don't know if you saw this opinion piece from the New York Times. Here's part of what it reads now. The question is what happens next. How did Democrats buoy their spirits, maintain their ardor, and press on? They ached for this seat. They fought for it fiercely. It continues. Democrats came up empty-handed nonetheless, so a party sorely demoralized in November is demoralized yet again and left to wonder if the intense anti-Trump passion visible in protests, marches, money, and new volunteers isn't just some theatrical, symbolic, abstract thing. That's quite a lot. Where does it leave Democrats?
I think it's devastating for them. It's the old adage, you can't beat something with nothing. And what Democrats have right now is this anti-Trump ardor, which is obviously effective at rallying, some subset of Democrats. But obviously, we've seen in all these races, it's not enough to actually win something. They have to start standing for something. They have to start being more than just a resistance movement, more than just the opposition, and give people something to hope for. And say what you want to about Donald Trump, but that's how Donald Trump won. He gave people something to hope for. And we should note, that's how Barack Obama won before him. He gave people something to hope for. And was very effective at it. And Donald Trump has been very effective at that as well. And this idea that Democrats are going to sort of sneak in there by just being anti-Trump or anti-whatever. I mean, look at the health care fight. Republicans are just trying to fix Obamacare. And Democrats are refusing to lift a finger to do anything to help fix the bill the system that they created. That's not a recipe for success, and I think that's what we're seeing more than anything else in every single one of these races.
Last question: is there an effect on this on Republicans in Congress? Is there an effect on President Trump?
Well, I don't know if there's a positive effect necessarily, but the fact that that you didn't have a Republican loss here, and the media completely going overboard, trying to say, oh, this proves that Republicans are going to lose in 2018. The fact that you won't be hearing all that gives Republicans a little bit of breathing room. I think allows them to go back to the negotiating table and to try to kind of figure out some of these things. Chief among them, tax reform. They've got to get that done. Oh.
Charlie Hurt, thank you. Terrific analysis there in D.C. Good to have you on. Shannon.
And much more on that coming up in the second hour of America's Newsroom. We're going to talk to RNC Chairwoman Ronna McDaniel. And Bill, I think one of the things to talk about is that, yes, they're continuing to have these wins. Excellent news for the GOP, but the gaps are really closing when you look at those seats, what they were won with the percentages 6, 7, 8 months ago. That gap's really close. So is there momentum there on the other side?
Yeah, I'd be interested to hear what she says today. Yesterday afternoon with Neil Cavuto, I felt she was very reserved, rather cautious. And we had a fellow on just a couple of days ago who said, mark it down. She's going to win by 5 points in that district, and that's right around the margin that came out last night. So.